Well, welcome to another episode of the Esports Classroom Podcast, talking with esports coaches, players, and everyone else involved in esports, just to share out a lot of different ideas, obstacles, and wins that has to go with esports. So we got Gavin with us tonight, so I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Gavin, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, hi, I'm Gavin. I'm the founder of Youth Gaming Association. We are a group of pro coaches that create esports curriculum specifically for high school teachers. On top of that, I've also done things like I've worked at Mizzou Esports. I was the student director over there, and I've also was the coach and a player at my local high school, Naperville North, where we won 3 state championships in Overwatch over in Illinois. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, so let's start with that. Let's start with the high school. We'll go chronologically just for fun.
Okay. Yeah.
So as a high school student joining esports, why did you join esports?
So I was already in the pro leagues when I was 12 years old as a player. I was working in the minor leagues as a just a player, trying to get my footing. So esports has just been something I've always been really dedicated to my entire life. Even before that, I was doing like UHC Minecraft, if you know what that is, like competitive Minecraft,
Yep.
since I was like 8. So it's something I was always really super dedicated to. And then my sophomore year of high school, we finally got an esport program. So I was like, you know what, I got to do this. This is seems really fun. Yeah, the rest is history.
So what were the main titles you were playing then?
I mainly do Overwatch right
Okay.
now. I've also played a little bit of Super Smash Bros. I'm not that good at it, but my friends are really like Super Smash Bros. So I try to get into it, and the competitive guy in me is trying to get better.
Yep.
Uh, but that's about it. Those two are my main two games.
And Overwatch, of course, just got a major update just in time for our state tournament next week.
Oh
We're
yeah.
banning all the new characters. Can't
Oh
ban the sub
really?
perks. Yeah, it. Normally our rule is like this is for the Iowa High School Esports Association. We put a 2 week ban on any new characters, but since it came out almost 2 weeks exactly before the state tournament, kind of like let's just ban them. We'll focus on our current team, though the meta is all messed up right now. Um,
No,
my team didn't make it, so I don't have to worry about it. So my
no,
Rocket League team made it, but not my Overwatch team. Um,
no, that's
so
crazy.
yeah, I mean
Uh,
that's one of the big things. Esports is like, now like football has to worry about a new update coming out in the middle of the season, but we have a game-changing update coming out before our season ends.
yeah, every single month there's a new different meta to get to figure out. It's definitely a challenge.
Yep.
I'm just more interested, especially if you go into the next year. I know you said this year you guys don't have it, but with Overwatch adding so many new heroes this year, how high school esports, like how programs are going to keep up with the constant changing. Students wanting to play new heroes mixed with the just the different skills that come with learning these new
Yep.
heroes. Like talk about like Jetpack Cat, who added a whole new mechanic to the game. The tether that adds a whole new dynamic to strategy, and trying to add that on the fly is going to be really interesting to see.
I haven't been able to play it much myself. I love watching the videos of Jetpack Cat. I'm sure it'd just be an annoying player I would play as. I mean, that is kind of the thing too. Like the good thing about this is that update is going to drive more interest in the game. I mean, I think Blizzard seen the numbers increase for Overwatch. Now that's regularly called Overwatch and Overwatch 2, whatever. But the numbers have gone up, which is good for us because there's still, I think some schools are starting to see with the introduction of Marvel Rivals, I thought that was siphoning players off of Overwatch, even though the games are very similar. Um, so it will be interesting. I think we might see more people next year if Blizzard can keep this up.
Yeah, well, something really interesting too. If you go back to like talk about like when Valorant launched in 2020 was when it
Yep.
launched. Something I saw was a lot of people. There was a similar situation where Overwatch players would go to Valorant, and then they would go to Valorant for like a year or two, and then they eventually find their way back to Overwatch, or they would have a success in Valorant and they would just stay there full time. So there's this very weird, especially because Valorant and Overwatch aren't as similar as Marvel Rivals.
Yep.
There's this weird connection between the two games of pro players that I've seen, so I've been able to learn Valorant too myself. But it's also seeing it happen repeat itself with Marvel Rivals, where people are going to Marvel Rivals, they're playing for a little bit. If they find success, they stay. If they don't find success, they go back to Overwatch, and
Yep.
that's interesting. Yeah.
Even my players last season, like my Valorant team was my Overwatch team, right? But it was a lot of some those different mechanics did cause some things when we're focusing on practicing, focusing on our communication. This year, put out the survey. I got like 3 kids interested in Valorant. I'm like, I can't form a team, but I got 10 kids interested in Rivals. All right, we're doing a team of Rivals. Little
Speaking,
mini season this spring. So granted, most of my Overwatch kids are playing Rivals. So
yeah. Well, you also have the. Are they allowed to play on 2 different rosters over there? Like the Marvel
yeah.
Rivals.
So I could actually have all three teams. I because our spring season is Overwatch. I'm sorry, our spring season is Valorant and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and then we're doing a shortened trial season of Rivals, so about a 5-6 game season with no state tournament. Overwatch is our winter title. So Iowa is a weird state for high school because we do 3 seasons. Our in-person state tournament is coming up next Friday, and then we're starting the next week with the next season.
Yeah. Well, I
There's
mean,
no off season.
it gives the kids a more excuse to play the games they love. So I mean,
Yep.
I'm sure they love it. So yeah.
Yeah, I love parts of it, but as I've been talking with people in charge of other states, I can see the benefits of some versus others. I guess if I didn't have another coach with me, and I'm trying to
Yeah.
coach all these titles, that'd be a problem. Just organizing, being in the space. Um, but I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, even though I've not grinded on our new devices with the new accounts. So I gotta get more coins to get more parts of the carts unlocked. And that'll be well, I should have brought that home. But that'll be next weekend problem.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, it's funny you mentioned that because when I first came back and we were founding YGA, I didn't realize how big Mario Kart had gotten within the scholastic
yep.
scene because I was working at the college scene and maybe a little bit of stuff in Korea. No one ever mentioned it to me. And I come back, it's like this is the biggest game we have. It's Scholastic Esports right now. Uh, and finding a pro player that plays Mario Kart was a challenge in itself because I just didn't know that scene existed. Uh, but then when I did find her, Hallie, uh, it blew my mind, like how strategic you can get with that game. Because to me, it's just like running in a circle, but to her, it was like you have people in different positions. This person
Yep.
needs to get eighth place so they can get this specific item, so we can win overall. Which is really interesting to me because to me, it's still that just a game I played when I was 8 years old. But
Yeah. No,
yeah,
I played Mario Kart since I'm an OG Mario Kart player because I'm old. And coaching was a totally different thing because especially Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it was one of the first season as an esports coach, one of the titles that we had a lot of success with. Eventually, the school I was at won 2 state titles back to back. Two of my former players are now at the college level and gained like nationally number one, two, and theirs. The amount of time they play in that game, the amount of things they focus on as they're doing that, it's very high. They have a lot of game knowledge. They put in the time and effort to learn that, and their skill level is so different than mine. We even had a quick chat about Mario Kart World and how the skills are changing now a bit with that. So there's going to be kind of this time where I'm not sure if everybody's going to go to World or not. If we'll see it on the competitive scene as much, because 8 Deluxe has been, I think, a really great fit. Oops, sorry, really great fit at the high school level, especially for our competitive scene.
no, I 100% agree. I really don't understand how people are going to move to Mario Kart World. It kind of seems like when like Melee came out versus like Smash Bros. Like there's still a
Yep,
very big scene there in Melee, even though the game is over 20 years old. And I don't see that. I see the exact same thing happening for Mario Kart 8. Uh,
yep. I do know some colleges may be looking at next year college scenes, but we'll kind of see how that goes. At the high school level, we're going to stick with 8 for this year. I can't believe we'll switch to 8 next year, and that's partially due to the lack of adoption of the Switch 2 yet. Like the numbers haven't gone up high enough, or our kids don't have the systems. I just bought 2 for our team, but that's just to be future ready. Since we had to buy new Switches anyways, might as well buy the newest one.
yeah,
And they're fast, they're powerful. We
they're
like
kind
them.
of very cool.
Beautiful
Yeah.
screen.
But,
So you're a high school esports player,
mhm.
and then you went into college too. So what was that like? How did you decide or find out about college
Yeah.
esports and then get
Uh,
involved with that?
so it's funny you mentioned that because when I was a sophomore, or a junior, it's the third one. The junior in high school, I really was at like almost the peak of my Overwatch career, not at just the high school level, but also at my professional level. I was hitting, I think, top three in the contender scene in Contenders North America as a manager, and I was super, super happy with how my career was going. It was my mom who's like, Gavin, you got to go to college. Like that's not that's not negotiable. So she set up a Stay Plugged In account for me, and from there, I just immediately was put in contact with a bunch of college coaches, and I got to go shop different colleges around the United States, which was an experience itself and really opened up my eyes to like esports is like a real thing. It's like you actually do this full time.
Yep.
Uh, and I eventually ended up picking up the University of Missouri. It was an SEC school, which was really interesting to me. And also, they were a pretty new program. And I know something I really wanted specifically was to move away from Overwatch. It's just and more focus on the esports side as I got through college. And
Mm-hmm.
they gave me the opportunity. They let me be the director, so they gave me a big opportunity over there.
Yeah, I mean that's I think a great thing because again, those careers are involved with esports. It's not just playing thing, right? It's the managing side. There's a lot of skills involved with that, and a lot of avenues that can take you.
Definitely.
Um, so when you're at Missouri, um, got to be the manager of that. What was that kind of like then, as you're working with other college students to try to get them to be better competitors at the game, to try to find some success, but also just recruiting interest in esports, which, like you said, not a lot of people know about the levels of it at college and beyond, even.
Yeah. Well, the lucky thing for us is we had a great student staff over at Mizzou, so could spread out to what we were good at. I was good at managing people, so I just kind of worked with a lot of talented people. We had people like my good man Alex Denman. He was a great broadcaster. I think he works for Texas A&F right now as their
Mhm.
broadcast lead. Uh, and he was able to set up the whole broadcast side of our program. We just gave him a room, like, hey, just go have fun, man. Just do what you can. He did a great job. He was able to do a consistent stream of all our matches and whatnot. And then on the other side, we had Blake Gronsbean, who was a big Valorant guy. He was the Valorant captain of the. They had like a Valorant club there
Mhm.
when we changed it from a club to a varsity title. Uh, and he was super big and competitive, and he was always great at recruiting. Uh, so I never had to really look at that side. He was always on top of it. So yeah, a lot of student staff. We actually had about 70 at our peak, like 70 students who were interested in esports and doing different projects for us, uh, all for free, but we were get paid.
Yeah.
For the love of the game. Uh, yeah, it just really shows how like the students really want this, right? Like it's something that the students really want, and if the students want it, they're gonna make it themselves. And
Mhm.
Mizzou gave us they gave us an empty room. They said, "Do whatever you guys want to do," and uh, we took it from there.
Yeah, in Missouri being a bigger school, SEC school, we've seen this with the with Iowa, University of Iowa, and Iowa State. Bigger schools, they're not really giving out scholarships for these sports players. They're really trying to recruit the kids that are already at the college. Where smaller schools, like I know in Missouri, I had one of the players there who was at I want to say this right, so I'm bringing it up on my side here. Um, which I can't find it right now. He was at a smaller school in Missouri. Um, oh, Draven, yep, Missouri State West Plains. He was able to get scholarships and stuff like that. And we got a lot of smaller schools in Iowa, smaller colleges. They're offering lots of scholarship offers to come to college to do that recruiting. So it's nice that he didn't have to deal with that part because that's a big time thing for a lot of coaches at the college level.
It's a big headache. No, definitely. I think the one great thing about Mizzou, like I said, is it's a big school, and we did have a
Yep.
really big. Or I'm still a Mizzou student. We still have a massive on-campus club system for all the titles that we support at the premier level, and you can develop players internally within our school. Then eventually, like by the time they hit their junior or senior year, they're good enough. They've done 2 years of club. You can just pull them up, and they'll perform well within our premier teams.
Yep.
Uh, it was something I was really proud of before I left was that we were, especially for Overwatch, because Overwatch was my main game. By the time before I moved to Korea, we had at least half our roster was organically grown within Mizzou. So we didn't go out and scout them. They were just really passionate freshmen turned into
Yep.
really skillful sophomores into premier players their junior year. Um, I assume will probably be a trend for a lot of the bigger schools since they do have that
Yeah.
steep population. They don't really need to look externally to find good players.
Yeah. Well, I'm in Ames, Iowa, so of course a former opponent of Missouri,
Yeah,
the Iowa State Cyclones. In the Iowa State Gaming Club, which is there, it is a lot of that because I'll get some of my own students who are playing esports in high school. I ask them, all right, where are you going to go? Because if you want to go to a school with esports team, I will contact that coach. I said, I will make that connection for you if you need it. I have no problem with that. I love reaching out and cold calling people. But a lot of them, they end up going to Iowa State. And I'm like, all right, guys, you still got a gaming club. You can still participate in that. So I always try to push them to something like that because it's a great way to get connected with other kids, to just get some structure in there. It's kind of just like, especially if you don't know a lot of people, and then those skills that you're constantly learning by being part of an
yeah.
esports team.
it becomes its own like little community on campus to some extent. You know, I think a lot of it can be done. A lot of esports is done internally. You find a student that is passionate about broadcasting. Like I talked about Mizzou, we found a kid who was really popular with broadcasting, so he just took over broadcasting naturally. It was something that just naturally happened over time. When you put passionate kids in a room, they just make good programs, for lack of better terms, right? And a lot of that starts at the high school level. They get that great experience at the high school level, and they want to continue that in college. And they continue that in college. They're given a little more freedom. They
Yep.
express themselves, and that's how careers are born.
Yeah. And I think that's something that exists now that didn't exist like 20 years ago. It's just another opportunity for kids to give them more opportunities, right? Um, I just think about I graduated from Iowa State and there was no gaming club. There was a lot of gaming going on,
Yeah.
but it's 20 years ago. It was all LAN gaming. It was on older PCs. I was an RA of an honors floor, so we had a lot of nerding out going on with gaming going on, and that's how I got introduced to PC gaming. Um,
Yeah, no, same with me too. I mean, even when I was in high school, like I mentioned, I had most of my passion came from the grassroots scene. I I was a manager for a majority of my career, which I switched early from coach to manager, where I got to learn things like I would build out logos and brands for my
yep,
teams. I'd oversee the social media. I'd oversee the brand sponsorship parts. And that's stuff where I really fell in love with the idea of managing. Because for me, when I first was a player, it was like you're a manager, you book the scrims, and that's your life.
yep,
But as I climbed the ranks and was able to learn more about organizations and how they're formed, I was able to take on more parts and I was able to express my passion through esports and also learn a bunch of transferable skills.
yep. And I mean, there's a lot of jobs for that right there too. Or like you just replace esports with some sort of company, you're doing the exact same thing. Uh,
Okay.
oh, don't worry. Like, I'm surprised the cat hasn't tried to burst through my door yet. Luckily, other people are at home, so it's distracted by them. And that's like one thing I remember going up to the Vikings training camp up in Minnesota a few years ago, and they had a esports team, pro esports team up there on site. It was nice to talk with them about okay, what kind of jobs do you have in that. I had to tell them I'm a high school coach, and they wanted to talk to me then. But it was interesting talking about all the different jobs that were open for them. They point to all these desks and say, "Hey, we need people to do the social media. We need the people to manage these teams. We have all these jobs, and they're paying really well." And I was kind of at that point, like, you know what? I can move back to Minnesota. I'll come up
Yeah, yeah,
do
why
that.
not? No, it's a great thing. I think it all comes back to though the idea that players, you need good players for all that to work. Like who are just good at video games that people can kind of uh, ch- uh, chariot around, or they can
Yep.
all go around, which is something I've kind of noticed about YG, or something. The reason why I formed YG in the first place is that a lot of students they'll get to a point in their career with this classic scene where they're just too good for their programs anymore. Maybe it's a lack of bodies, or maybe it's a lack of coaching. There's a whole
Yep.
bunch of different reasons. But then they're kind of forced to go to that grassroots scene, and I can tell you, for the grassroots scene, it's not as developed morally. Maybe it's the wrong word, morally, as the scholastic scene, or it's more of like the wild wild west over there. And you kind of
Yep.
have to figure out stuff on your own. And as kids, that can be like a high schooler, that can be really a daunting task. Uh, so something I've been sharing a lot, or something I've been really wanting to look into when I formed YGA, was how can I keep students in scholastic programs longer, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean to actually not only support their gaming, but make them better at the video games that
Yep.
they love, which has opened up a lot of really interesting different opportunities for us. Like we're getting to work with people down in Kentucky right now. I'm learning Rocket League, and I get to watch them grow as players. And I also get to Green April North is another. I still work with them, and I get to coach them. And they're now getting to a point where they're good enough at the high school level where they're just immediately going straight to the college level on professional teams to gain scholarships, uh, which I've really loved to see. It's something I hope I can see more as we go forward with Scholastic Esports.
There are definitely, and I'm going to say this from a high school coaching perspective, there are limitations to my skill set with the students. Obviously, esports coaching is not my primary job. I am an instructional coach. I have all these other tasks I got to do through the day. And then at the end of the day, I get to go and coach esports. And so, yeah, I can see that a lot. Like, we see teams that we play where they have one really great player, like on Rocket League team, and then a couple beginning players. And
Mhm.
so you kind of feel for that great player because you're like, hey, yeah, it'd be awesome if you had a couple more good players on that. You guys would be much more competitive. But it also comes down to the coach too, right? The coach not having those skill sets. Maybe I don't know Rocket League to the level that a lot of people know it, like the top coaches know it. I know coaching stuff, but the game itself. And that's kind of those things like I was very happy to have a coaching session with the college coach this week because he was able to pick on things that I was not seeing. And well, we won today, so it helped a lot.
Yeah.
I see the positive impact of that.
Definitely. It's something that April, not to cut you off. I like to go on April North, and it is a very. We've won a lot of championships at April
Yep.
North. I think a big thing, a big reason for that is just the students' passion within the community. Not only are you seeing students like we don't have just we've had a lot of GM players and Overwatch come through in April North, but it's also the idea that a lot of the students are thinking in a multi-year facet. Like if they're
Agreed.
a senior right now, they're working with the JV player that
Yep.
would replace them next year so that next year they can still have a player in that role who's going to be consistent. Uh, and also, you have on the same passing when people graduate, you have alumni coming back and saying, "Hey, oh, I played this role when I was in high school. Let me watch your gameplay. Let me give you some notes. Let me help you out one on one." I think as you talk about like esports in the longer time frames, especially like Neighbor North is like its 10th year now or something crazy like
Yeah.
that. Makes me feel very old because I was there the first year. Uh, but it's something it's awesome to see. So these programs that are now they're not only just there to support the students' interests, they're helping develop them as actual players and
Yep.
help them get to that pro level.
Yeah. I've been lucky. I have kids that come back, like kids in the community. They've come back. They're either going to college at Iowa State or they're still in the community. They want to come back and they're like, hey, I want to volunteer my time. I want to help out. Obviously, volunteer their time because the little money we have for our program goes to me and the other coach. But they're able to really connect with the kids better than maybe I can. They know the game better than I can. And those skill sets that they grew in throughout high school, they're able to help others learn that. I think that's great for them because I think that's, again, give them opportunity to grow in a new way. And then it's that community aspect. Like it's almost the alumni coming back, keeps the program going. Obviously, you've seen that up in Naperville, which is just off to the east of me a little bit, off the other state that I don't like to
Yeah.
drive through. But yeah, I think it's that's a great thing to see. And we say like 10 years in there, a lot of Iowa schools organize are 6, 7, 8 years. Be interesting where this goes 5 years from now, 10 years from now. What does the scene look like in the state and nationally?
Yeah, well, that's what you say that because I think it's so a trend I'm noticing, especially with these uh, programs that are being older, is they're starting to follow more traditional sport routes where
Yep.
you have, like I don't know, I'm a ballpark ages here, like a 60-year-old athletic director with a 35-year-old head coach, and then you have the fresh graduate who just is new to coaching, who's actually the actual player coach, which is essentially like still the same facet of like JV, varsity, graduate, but it's just extending on that line of now you have a whole community that's been through the program and they're coming
Yep.
back and you're seeing the dividends coming as you invested them from such a young age.
Yeah. And I still will have some of my former students reach out to me. I've been a coach now at 2 districts, helped start the program at both of them. We're in our 4th year now in my current district. Um, just trying to build that system that it's going to outlast me. That's my hope. I hope that, like, let's say also next year I'm not there. I want the program to keep going. It has that momentum, it has that impact on kids. I never want that to dwindle.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I hope we just keep on growing. I mean, I talk about like LeBron James. I think if you kind of giggle when I say this, but like hypothetically, there could be one day with the right kid where high school esports could just create the LeBron James of that game,
Yep.
right? Because LeBron James is about through his high school esport, not esport, his basketball federation, right? There's no reason why in 50 years esports hasn't developed enough to develop pro players, which I'm
Yep.
really excited to see. I'm a big nerd of just blooming industries, and I get to see it in real time. So it's been
Yeah.
awesome.
Um, info you kind of sent me. Let's talk about just real quick. So you went to South Korea for a year, looking at some
Yes,
pro organizations. What was kind of some of the big takeaways you had from that?
it's just to see what esports can be. Esports is so well ingratiated in that culture over there. It's like you have PC cafes at every single block. If you want to play Overwatch, it's $1. You can just walk into some place.
Yep.
And on the other side of that, I was still a manager at the time, but I got the opportunity to be backstage with Team DAF and Jonathan Forker. He works at he's the captain of the Boise team, and he also does stuff in the I don't think in the, like the Pacific area, the specific tournament. And to see actual fans like come up to me like, "Oh, you're little Lucio. I knew you when you were in the contenders when you're 14." Like, first off, it's kind of weird that you knew what I was doing at 14, but it's
Yeah.
also really cool because they're giving me sign like they're asking for my signature and they're asking for selfies and they're giving me gifts and like this is all just because I played Overwatch. It blows my mind. It really shows you like this can't be an actual sport. This can actually be an actual thing, a full career for people, and it made me really excited, really passionate about wanting to bring that to the States and how can we bring that energy and that culture back from South Korea to the United States.
It'd be nice to see that. I think that would be, this is a question that's now a new question that I'm going to make sure we ask everybody. Thanks to Coach Alney for posing this to me. Like, where do you want esports to be in 5 years, right? This would be a great thing if esports is more mainstream, more people know about it, more people can actually get exposed to the top players, the top schools out there. They understand that, yeah, this is a real thing. I'm hoping for that day that I have parents that come up to me and I explain to them, like, hey, this college is reaching out to your kid to give them a scholarship to play esports, and they're not confused. They just expect it, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean that's the dream, right? Like I said, like LeBron James, like we got to make the next LeBron James of Overwatch through this classic scene. That's right. I don't know if that's gonna happen in 5 years, but what I
Yep.
want to see with the next 5 years is the stabilization of just esports in general. Like it's here, it's been here for since I was a kid. It's not this new industry anymore. It's we're here to stay. So what does that look like? What does a 50-year esport program look like, and how can we make sure that just the program stays alive
Yep.
rather than surviving? How does it thrive?
Yep. I think there's some momentum there. I think at the high school level, we have the ISEA, which is organizing state organizations together so they kind of get on the same page so they communicate. I'm hearing some movement maybe in the college scene,
Yeah,
at least a lot of conversations because there are the big schools, the small schools, and everything in between. Trying to
yeah,
unify things a bit.
yeah. It's always, especially at the college level, it's always a big question of what is the SEC going to do, right? Like
Yep.
if the SEC comes brings in esports, that changes the entire landscape. They're gonna they put SEC's got the money. If they've got the
Yep.
money and they want to do it, they're gonna run esports and they'll just have the final say in everything. Uh, I have heard a lot of like people, like you said, are like they're trying to uh, make sure everything is pretty similar, standardized throughout state to states,
Yep.
and hopefully that can go to like the federal level where it's like you can have what's like maybe a state by state competition of the best of like
Mhm.
Ohio versus the best of Illinois, and like you can make a whole tournament out of that. That would be a really fun opportunity for the kids too, I think.
NACAD did do that. Like last year, we got invited to compete with other state organizations, part of that before the national conference for NACAD in the summer. So my state champion Rocket League team did get to play some other ones, but it was still kind of this, I don't know, newer concept. I like to see a little bit more
Yeah,
systemically organized. So we were hoping to play in person, but things happened we didn't get to, which is okay for me because I'm bad at fundraising.
yeah,
But it's one of those things that it was really fun for them, even though they
yeah.
got beat pretty bad. Um, we'll forget that part.
Go ahead.
They at least enjoyed the experience, and I think having that is a great opportunity.
No, I 100% agree. I also just think the development of storylines from across borders is going to be really interesting. Like, if you're constantly versing this one team from Illinois and it's like, it's your new rival, I'd love to
Yep.
see things like that develop. I know there from the north, we have a little thing with Lions Township over, I think they're 30 minutes away from us. We've been versing them in the state finals basically every year. I remember when I was a student, this is my proud moment when I realized I wanted to be a coach in Overwatch. It was the first time we ever versed them. It was the Goats meta back in the day for Overwatch, and how much that took over the scene. We were the best Goats team, and they knew that, so they developed a strategy. Uh, it was like a bunker comp with Orisa that would on Route 66 that they would just like hide in that little mega area. So
Yep.
even if you were playing Goats, you couldn't go in there because you just get blown up immediately. But we had this Junkrat player, and he was always begging me, like, Gavin, please let me play Junkrat, please. I'm like, and I look at him, I'm like, man, this might be the day. This might be the day you play Junkrat. And he looks at me, like, yes, let's do it. He was so hyped. And what we did was, if you know about Route 66, uh, there's a train. You can go where that little like underground area is on First
Yep.
Point. You can go up over around it, and there's the other side on the empty side. Or there's two ways to get to that little cave area. So what we did was we took the ghost people. We had everyone except the Junkrat go on the other side around. So the Lions Township team swapped to the other door, and then the Junkrat player just came to the original door, and everyone was turning away from him. He got like a 5K. And I was so happy. I was so hyped. They were so upset. They paused the game for like 30 minutes. They thought we were cheating. I was. It was my proudest coach moment ever, to be honest.
Definitely a moment those kids won't forget.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Um, so we covered a lot of things. I will make sure that if there's something you want to talk about that we can get to, you get a chance to.
Something specific. I mean, Youth Gaming Association. If you're looking for some extra help with your program and you want to take your program to the next level, definitely feel free to hit me up. I'd love to have a conversation about how me and my coaches can help with that. We're also doing a free series where we're giving out free VOD reviews. So if you're interested in that, definitely also hit me up. But I don't know. I'm not a big promo guy. I think that's the only two
Yeah.
big things for me. I'm just excited to see discussing esports continue to grow, and I want to see more coaches get more hands-on with their students and with the specific games. And I'm excited to see what that means and develop the next LeBron James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a great way to go with this. We'll always end with my favorite question. I'm going to guess your answer to your favorite game of all time might be Overwatch.
Okay.
But what games are you currently playing besides Overwatch?
Well, I'll show you this too. I love Overwatch, and I love Overwatch so much. I have a tattoo of it, Lucio tattoo. So it's always gonna be Overwatch as my number one until the day I
Yep.
die. I play Fortnite a little bit with my friends, like my IRL friends who don't really play esports. They've been
Yep.
really liking Fortnite recently. Rocket League, I've been trying to understand it. Same thing with Super Smash Bros. My friend and IRL friends play that, so I've been learning that. Uh, but that's what I mean. With Overwatch coming back, with those 5 new heroes, it's all I've been playing for the past 2 weeks, or ever since
Yep.
it came out. And
Yep.
Jetpack has been really fun. That's all I gotta say about that.
Yeah. We have our end of season winter party soon. My kids are gonna have pizza, and then we'll probably just go play some more Overwatch because they've been doing probably nothing
Yeah,
doing nothing but playing Overwatch since the update came out, even though our
yeah,
season's over for
as they
that.
should.
All right, I want to thank you for being on. Again, if you guys have any questions about Youth Gaming Association, reach out to him and hopefully listen for more. This might be the end of season one podcast. We may have one more episode, who knows? But there's definitely more to come. So keep listening.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was an awesome conversation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Of course.